Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. The Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy, and he will never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, a lot's happened. You know, Thanksgiving weekend is usually a time when there's no news. No news, even after the presidential election, because Thanksgiving, Kathy, is there may be an exception, but I think that the Thanksgiving holiday week, because it's always on a Thursday, so a lot of people are off the whole week, but it's a 4-day weekend every year. It is a holiday that every American celebrates, no matter what, okay? It just is. And it very well may be the most vacation-y holiday weekend all year because everybody does Thanksgiving. The news is usually just turkey recipes and stuffing and leftover ideas. And President Trump over Thanksgiving has just had non-stop major news events going on. And I want to start with Kash Patel. And we got to talk about this. Yesterday, President Trump on Saturday announced on Truth Social, and I like how Trump is doing everything on Truth Social, which is these releases, these press releases. The Kash Patel.
Why do you like it on Truth over X?
I'll tell you what. He announced that Kash Patel is going to be the FBI director. Well, it could be on Twitter too, X. I mean, I just like that he just releases the press release and doesn't go out and have a press conference and defend it. He just says, "This is it."
Exactly.
You know, that's what
exactly.
They could be anywhere. I like how he's doing it.
I agree with you.
You know, and he doesn't have to defend himself.
He's
to these
not wasting
people.
time with the media at all.
It's awesome. And you know, Kash Patel, who's been talking really since the first campaign. Okay, that the FBI has to be dismantled, right? He worked for the Obama administration and has been in Washington for years and years and years, lots of experience, but he knows how bad things are, and he's been doing interviews for years talking about dismantling the FBI. And this is the thing. I did a live stream this morning on YouTube, and I asked people that were watching live in the live chat if they think I am right or wrong about this, okay, what I'm about to say. I believe that the FBI is the secret government that runs the United States and has been running the United States since at least the time of Kennedy, maybe before with Hoover with the files.
I think with Hoover, I think he started that whole thing.
But before
he had a lot of power.
Yeah, and he had all those files, and there's always been this conspiracy theory. What happened to the Hoover files, and were they destroyed? Were they lost? And the secret of the Hoover files is the FBI kept them, and it's just been adding to them all these decades.
It's really a state police,
a secret
the FBI,
kind of like almost a secret police.
Well, in some regards, but it is a state.
The Gestapo.
It's a national police force.
Yes,
they have bureaus in every state, and who knows what they do. And I know they do a lot of good, and they catch bad guys, and if there's a kidnapping and they get involved, and there are a lot of good agents. I think most agents are good. Probably 95% are good people. But there is a cell that is very corrupt.
The D.C. branch.
And mainly the D.C., I think.
Headquarters.
And but it is a national police force with a lot of power over people. And you know, it'll be interesting to see what Kash does with this.
This is what I mean about being the secret government. Now, if you remember, President Trump is the only president probably ever, certainly within any of our lifetimes, but he's probably the first president ever to not be a part of the political establishment of the time, okay? And
I think he is probably the only president.
He very well may be. There's one other one maybe, but in the 1800s, but I doubt it. But Trump, because he really came out of nowhere when he came down the escalator to run for president. Most of these people, from Obama and Clinton and all of them, are the people that become presidential nominees and presidents.
Right.
Are people that are already under the control of the deep state, whether financially or through blackmail. And if you remember that fake Russian dossier, it was Hillary had it made by Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele gave it to John McCain, and then John McCain gave it to Comey. And Comey went to Trump Tower when Trump was president-elect, 8 years ago. During this very period, during the transition, he dropped the fake Russian dossier on Trump's desk at Trump Tower and said, we can either investigate this or it can go away, wink, wink, meaning if you play ball with us, it'll go away.
This must be what they do with all the presidents if they're not on board already.
They're already on board. They've done this to them years ago, like in college, most of them, all right? Or when they were in Congress or something.
They sign a contract in blood.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like Bill Clinton. A lot of people
sign over their soul. Basically.
A lot of people wonder, how could Bill Clinton, with all of his sex problems, become president? It makes it easy for them to control him,
right? For sure,
because he's so immoral. He's a degenerate. They had so much stuff on him. Lewinsky was nothing compared to what he was. Bill Clinton was accused of rape when he was a Rhodes Scholar in England by a girl over there, and he got out.
Well, you know what? More might come out about him.
Well, what I mean is, that's
with
how
Pam Bondi, more might come out.
How did some hick from Arkansas who just happened to be a Rhodes Scholar, which he never finished the program, get accused of rape and get out of the country and get in an Ivy League here, and then become president because they wanted him to? So anyway, the FBI, I believe, is the secret government. They've been running everything. The deep state's vast and wide and all that stuff, but the FBI are the bosses of it. What's happened here with Kash Patel, I don't know. I know you guys that are listening to us understand.
Yeah.
But I don't think most people understand the significance of what has just happened. Okay? And, the FBI, they started spying on Trump. Remember, Peter Strzok, FBI, and Lisa Page, right? Peter Strzok, FBI, Peter Strzok is the one who got that FISA warrant to get the wiretap on Trump Tower during the first campaign. So it's been almost about 10 years now. They have been spying and harassing Trump, from that to breaking into his house and all these things at Mar-a-Lago, all this stuff that's going on.
I think all of that will be exposed.
Oh, yeah.
It's all going to come out in the open.
And Kash Patel, this is, out of all the picks that he's made, this is the most controversial one. Now, the FBI director works under the Attorney General. The FBI is part of the Justice Department. So
so he'll work under Pam
Bondi. Will be his boss. But he has to go through a confirmation process, too. And I haven't, since it's not a cabinet post, I haven't heard anyone say what's the process for a recess appointment for a job like this. I guess he could make him acting FBI director during I don't know.
Are they doing the recess appointments?
We don't know yet. We won't know until we get there. But this is going to be one of the it's either going to be, if he goes through a hearing, Kash Patel, it's either going to be smooth and quick or it's going to be rough. And what I mean by that is these people in the Senate, they got stuff on these guys, okay? That's why there'll be a congressman, a senator you like. They say all the right things, and when it comes down to the vote, they let you down. It's because they got a file on them or something. So these hearings with Kash Patel, it'll either go smoothly or be rough, depending on what the FBI do.
I know you got a soundbite of Katie Pavlich.
I'm not going to play it. We'll just talk about it.
She said that he was the one who wrote the memo exposing the FBI for issuing FISA warrants against American citizens.
Well, Trump the Trump Tower bug during the first campaign.
Exactly. Kash Patel knows a lot.
Everything.
He worked for the Justice Department under Barack Obama. He's been in D.C. a long time. He worked for Trump. He knows a lot of the corruption going on. They might be afraid to get this guy in front of a camera under oath, talking about things.
They might.
Do they have to have a hearing, or can they just approve it without a hearing? Because I'm thinking they might just approve this guy and not have him in front of a microphone on national television.
They would have to.
Because this guy will not be afraid to say what's up.
They'd have to have a vote of the committee that he goes in front of. So, but they don't have to have a hearing for that. They can just have a vote.
If they were smart, they won't have a hearing.
The hearings are just so the senators can show off on TV and get free publicity.
Well, these hearings are going to be fun. And I will say about Matt Gaetz.
Well, let's finish with Kash Patel first. Okay. So the FBI has spent the better part of a decade just terrorizing President Trump and his family, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just been nonstop.
And other people involved in his cabinet, too, in his circle.
So the significance of bringing Kash Patel in, I think, is larger than really any of us realize at this point. It's so crazy.
I know.
I mean, I haven't even gotten used to the fact that Trump was able to overcome this and get reelected. It's crazy. And now with this pick, it's amazing. There's very little pushback other than the few talking heads on CNN that
or
nobody
MSNBC,
watches.
which nobody's watching. I see clips, trashing this, trashing that. The reason that is, well, there's many reasons. Because Trump won the electoral vote and the popular vote. So it is undeniable that the country is on his side. Before they could lie to themselves and convince themselves that America was not supporting Trump and it was not legitimate, blah, blah, blah. They can't do that this time around, okay? And they know the American people are for him. They see all the football players doing the dance. They see all the people going, some Sly Stallone and all the people traveling to Mar-a-Lago, Justin Trudeau and this and that. Everything about, I mean, we always felt Trump was legitimate, but now in the eyes of the world, he is even more legitimate. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they are afraid because they know what they've done, they know the people he's bringing in are going to look into this. And I think a lot of people are really staying quiet and not pushing back at all like they did the first time. You know what I mean? The first time he got elected, it was crazy. I mean, just the stuff coming out and leaks and all this stuff. It's very different now. And I feel that there's a level of of fear and respect.
I don't know
for
about
Trump
respect.
From fear only from the left and the deep state that he did not have before. And I think they're afraid to say anything and afraid to, you know what I mean? Well, they don't know what's coming.
Not that long ago, the Congress...
Or maybe they do.
The Congress passed a bill to build the FBI a new headquarters that's bigger than the Pentagon. I mean,
my God, that's a huge building.
In D.C., why do they need a building so big? But that's got to be stopped. The
government needs to shrink, not expand.
Well, a lot of what's going to happen, okay, and this would be my guess, okay, things are going to get very chaotic, but when Trump gets settled in, the deportations are going to be a huge undertaking, and it's going to happen quick, okay? And what'll happen with that is they're going to use the Justice Department for a lot of this, okay? The Justice Department is going to be very involved in this because there's a lot of legal things going on. And what Kash Patel has talked about, when he talked about dismantling the FBI in recent interviews, he said he wants to take all those agents in Washington and send them out to the field offices and do like criminal work. So what's going to happen is the FBI, this is an interesting thing how it's going to happen. The FBI, with the deportations, are going to be overwhelmed with work, right? With these criminal gangs and the cartels and everything else. They may be so overwhelmed they can't deal with it. So that's one big story that Trump just dropped over the weekend. Kash Patel, FBI director. The other thing was this. He talked about early in the week before Thanksgiving that if Canada and Mexico didn't close up their border to the border invasions that are going on, that each of them would get a 25% import tax on all their goods. And now, again, I keep pointing this out to people. Everyone talks about tariffs. Tariff is another word for import taxes.
Right.
And the media and the Democrats keep talking about tariffs because they're telling you tariffs are bad. They don't want to say a tax is bad because they love taxes. So they say tariff.
It's okay to tax us, but they don't want to tax other countries.
So, say import taxes so people know. So what happened? Trump threatened a 25% import tax on all the goods from Canada or Mexico. The Mexican president stopped the illegals that are marching towards America. Trudeau came to Mar-a-Lago over the weekend on Friday in an unexpected visit to kiss Trump's butt and beg for forgiveness. And now we're finding that the premiers of a couple of the provinces, premiers are like the governors of their provinces, are going to start using their own resources to protect their southern border. It came out, I did not know this.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
80% of terrorist watch list people that have been picked up in the last year, in 2024, have come in through Canada. 80% of people on the terror watch list picked up have come in through Canada. Canada is an easier border for them to get through than it is the southern border. And Canada is just already doing the right thing. So Trump got named Kash Patel as the FBI director.
This is going to be an amazing 4 years.
This is just over Thanksgiving. He's gotten Mexico to stop the illegals marching towards America, and they're already starting to do what they got to do.
Yep.
He got Trudeau to come to Mar-a-Lago here in Florida, kiss his butt, and now Canada's stepping in line and getting things done properly.
Well, I think what happened is, I don't know if Trudeau wanted to come down here.
Oh no, it had to be humiliating.
I think Parliament made him, and I think
his donors. They have donors.
They had a big thing, and their Parliament. They do a similar thing like in England, where they all stand up in front of each other and insult each other. It's kind of fun, and they were all going after him. He's very weak. He's a horrible leader, and he's just stupid.
Yeah.
And inexperienced. I mean, what has this guy done other than he was the son of the Prime Minister Trudeau, who was the Prime Minister when I was growing up, because I used to go to Canada all the time to visit my family, and Trudeau was the Prime Minister for years. And this is his son. I mean, this is a Nepo baby. This is why he got in. So I think Parliament forced him to come down, and they said, you better go down there and take care of this and meet with Trump. And so, we figure this out. I think they're afraid that he's going to screw it up even more. And his days are numbered. And I know the people I know in Canada hate his guts. They do not want him to run the country anymore. And I'm not exactly sure how it works, but from what I understand, it's a parliamentary system. Like, they think they're English, the Canadians. Yeah. And they have a lot of English tradition, and they're kind of, they still like to be considered like part of the English empire in a way, it's they still have the queen on their money and stuff. But I think that he was forced to come down here. I think he's terrified, and I think he's going to be out of a job soon, and somebody else is going to take over, because they have a major problem, and now he's trying to backtrack. I love these politicians that create a huge mess, and then when they finally realize that the people are pissed and hate their guts, then they try to fix it and backtrack. That just doesn't work these days anymore. You know what I mean? There's too much information out there, and the damage is done. And that might have worked in the old days where you could pass the buck, but now with social media and everything being exposed, people are like, no, this is your fault. You did this, and we're done with you, and on to the next. And I think Canada's, he's created a problem for them, and now they're terrified. I mean, a lot of goods, I saw in the thing, Mexico is our top trade partner, which I did not know that. It's Mexico, Canada, then China. Yep. So Mexico is the top, and I'm assuming that's because it is not just avocados. They keep talking about the avocados.
You mentioned a thing about the avocados.
There's a lot of factories down there.
Well, I saw someone posted on X the other day. They say, "Why are liberals so obsessed with avocados?"
They are.
That's all they talk about are avocados.
Because they put it on their toast every day. Oh. I mean, they're all into avocados. And Brian made such a good point on the radio show last week where he said, if we're importing avocados and other fruit, why the hell do we need people here to pick the fruit? You don't need people to pick the fruit because machines pick the fruits. If you we have citrus farms and everything in northern Florida and strawberry fields and everything. It's not like the old days where you have people with big bags on their side walking around. They have huge machines that go down the aisle in between the trees, and they have these big arms that extend and pick the fruit in record time. And that's what everything's automated now. Yeah. So this whole idea of labor, hurting and this and that, Democrats have always loved to import people for cheap labor. They did it during the time of antebellum, and they continue to do it. And I don't know why they can go on TV and use that as their excuse, and people think that that's cool. I mean, why is it good to have to pay people below a living wage?
What they're telling us, the Democrats, is we need this slave labor.
Exactly.
I know they're paid a little bit of money, but it's not all of them are, and it's the ones that are paid. It's peanuts.
Well, they're paid under the table, and they're
slave labor.
And they're paid whatever the person wants to pay them, and they'll take whatever they can get.
And that's just it's amazing that the Democrats are arguing in favor of the need of slavery, which is the same argument the Democrats were making before the Civil War. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, how can our economy survive if we free the slaves?
That was the whole argument that the Democratic slave owners used to maintain slavery in this country. They wanted to end slavery long before the Civil War. They talked about it when they wrote the Constitution. But a lot of you know this, but half the southern states, which grew all the cotton and sugar and things like that, did not want to get rid of that free labor, and they felt the whole economy would collapse if that happened. And they used that excuse to keep slavery going another 50 years because they kept saying the economy of the country will collapse. If we get rid of these people, we need them and this and that. That is the same thing they're saying now.
And it's crazy. I saw Jasmine Crockett talking about this over the weekend, the Democrat. We need these people to do all this work. Jasmine Crockett she's too dumb to understand what she's saying, but she's arguing in favor of slavery. Yep. Now, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, and which supports all the content that I bring to you, the podcast, my YouTube channel, everything, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. And Patreon supporters, you have access to commercial-free editions of every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters, and we got a new top Patreon supporter.
Yes, we do.
That we're going to welcome to the mix. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, John S, and Dale. Dale is our newest top Patreon supporter. Welcome, Dale. So again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. All right, we're going to take our first break. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
No Dog Food, Please, from author Linda Costarella, is an engaging children's novel narrated by a Labrador retriever named Jack, who has been relocated to a working farm in upstate New York. From a grumpy grandpa to a recently adopted and very active 4-year-old boy, several interesting characters live on this multi-generational farm. Many fascinating events occur throughout the story. Family members experience their share of ups and downs. They learn to adapt and adjust to life circumstances, which makes them grow closer. Jack has a hard time dealing with Grandpa, who is convinced that dogs should eat dog food and stay outdoors. Jack longs for his previous owner and the wonderful food he was fed. Eventually, he finds a nice place for himself and his new family. No Dog Food, Please, from author Linda Costarella, is humorous and heartwarming. A glossary and discussion questions are included to help young readers. So far, No Dog Food, Please has won 3 awards. According to Rich Follett from Reader's Favorite, the book ranges beyond simple entertainment or diversion into the territory of essential life lessons, and as such becomes an important work with the potential to span generations. No Dog Food, Please, from author Linda Costarella, is available on Amazon. Get your copy today. Also, author Linda Costarella is a proud member of Author Reader Connection, a group of children's book authors who enjoy conducting virtual author visits in schools and other locations, such as libraries, summer camps, and senior centers. Check out their website, authorreaderconnection.com, to see what the Author Reader Connection writers have to offer. Have you dreamed of becoming a golf pro, but you feel overwhelmed by golf's complex rules, techniques, and endless equipment choices? You can simplify your game and become a master. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will get in the book from author David Greenway, Golf Simplified, a quick start guide to conquering the greens for beginners. Available on Amazon. Golf Simplified is a step-by-step guide. It's perfect for aspiring golfers who want to transition from frustrated beginners to a confident player. ever. It begins with an easy-to-understand breakdown of golf jargon, expert tips for selecting the right equipment for your style and your budget. It's filled with clear, practical lessons on mastering your swing and improving your game. Golf Simplified is packed with relatable advice as well as real-life lessons. It makes mastering golf easier and more enjoyable than ever. Say goodbye to confusion and hello to confidence on the course. And next time you're on the course with your friends, family, or coworkers, they will be impressed. Order your copy of Golf Simplified today. It's available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback. Your path to mastering golf starts right now. Golf Simplified, a quick start guide to conquering the greens for beginners, from author David Greenway, on Amazon. More than 100 years ago, Frank Stockton wrote an open-ended short story titled The Lady or the Tiger. The story was very popular at the time, but readers had to decide for themselves how it ended. That is, whether the young man opened the door behind, which stood the lady he would marry, or the door behind which stood a hungry tiger ready to devour him. Author Linda Costarella's continuation of the original Stockton story became her first book, a young adult novelette titled The Lady or the Tiger, The Young Man Must Choose. Once you pick up this book, it'll be tough to put it down because the writing is compelling. It will keep you glued to your seat until the very end. The Lady or the Tiger, The Young Man Must Choose includes a glossary to help young readers, and it's available on Amazon. Order your copy today. Also, author Linda Costarella is a proud member of Author Reader Connection, a group of children's book authors who enjoy conducting virtual author visits in schools and other locations, such as libraries, summer camps, and senior centers. Check out their website, authorreaderconnection.com, to see what the Author Reader Connection writers have to offer. Missing My Best Friend from author Linda Costarella is a touching children's chapter book about 8-year-old Daniel, whose best friend and next-door neighbor Jonathan has moved away. Daniel is troubled because his friend is gone. On top of that, Jonathan had said he wouldn't be able to speak to Daniel after he moved. Daniel loves animals and volunteers to assist at a local pet shop. Despite his shyness, he eventually meets his new neighbor and makes other friends. Later, Daniel is surprised when he learns the reason Jonathan had said he wouldn't be able to talk to him. This heartwarming story also takes readers into the future to find out what became of Daniel, Jonathan, and the new neighbor after they were all grown up and on their own. Missing My Best Friend includes a glossary and some discussion questions to help young readers. Missing My Best Friend from author Linda Costarella is available on Amazon. Get your copy today. Also, Linda Costarella is a proud member of Author Reader Connection, a group of children's book authors who enjoy conducting virtual author visits in schools and other locations, such as libraries, summer camps, and senior centers. Check out their website, authorreaderconnection.com, to see what the Author Reader Connection writers have to offer.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. This has nothing to do with politics, but I saw this on X today. I thought I'd read this to you, okay? It's about the movie Titanic, the James Cameron movie.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Did you see this thing on X?
No.
I don't know if this is
I've
trending
seen the
or
movie
not.
a million times.
Okay, it's a picture of the old lady Rose at the end, and she's holding that, like, $250 million necklace.
Yeah, the Heart of the Ocean.
She's getting ready to drop it in the ocean. And somebody has a picture of that, and they wrote this. I thought this was an interesting thing. Listen to this. I grew up understanding that in Titanic, Rose decides to throw away a $250 million pendant in memory of an unemployed man who she had sex with one time, right?
Yeah.
Jack Dawson, Leonardo DiCaprio. Meanwhile, because after that they show all the photos of her life. Meanwhile, her husband worked hard all his life to maintain her and give her her children and a life of luxury, who would surely have also appreciated the inheritance and lived peacefully.
Yeah.
She could have also given the pendant to her granddaughter, who took care of her whole life. The real villain of Titanic is not the gentleman, it was Rose.
Well, and
I think so.
I agree, and I
never thought of it that way.
I also felt that she killed Jack because
yes,
she got in the lifeboat, right? And she was getting down, lowering down in the lifeboat, and then remember she jumped back on the ship.
Yeah.
To be with Jack, and they had this whole romantic thing, and then when they end up going down, he puts her on a door. Well, if she never got back on the ship, he would have been on that door.
Exactly.
And he would have lived.
Exactly.
She's a spoiled, selfish brat.
Yeah, exactly. It's like years ago, it's about 10, 15 years ago, this whole thing started online that in The Karate Kid, Daniel was really the bad guy.
Yes.
Not Cobra Kai. And if you go back and watch the movie, he was always starting stuff with him. Man,
I always thought that too when I watched it, not when I first saw it in high school, but when you and I watched it later. I remember thinking, Daniel's just stirring things up here. I mean, he's just coming into Johnny's life and messing it all up.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny.
He created a lot of his own problems.
So anyway, I thought that was funny about.
Well, it's interesting the perspective changes. Yeah. It's still a good movie though.
Another thing that Tom Holman's he must have a TV studio in his house wherever he's at because he's just doing nonstop TV interviews. And the reason Tom Holman is doing these interviews, he did a lot over Thanksgiving weekend. The reason that Tom Holman is doing all these interviews, you don't see anybody else on the Trump team doing interviews. The border czar doesn't have to go through congressional approval, by the way. That's just a job that he hires.
Oh,
they don't need to. I mean, they could, have hearings with him, but I don't think they have to go through the approval process. But Trump is very, very smart. And one of his biggest skills is his media marketing skills. That's how he built the whole brand. He turned himself into a brand that meant luxury and success and all this stuff, right? Before he was in politics. And Tom Holman has been doing all these television interviews talking about the deportations. He was yesterday on television, he was talking about the United States under Trump's second term releasing all the details of all the countries that have been helping with the invasion of the United States. He's been talking about in detail the deportations. And I think the reason that he is doing that, I think Trump has him doing it. Tom Holman, by the time he becomes the official border czar, will have been on television for months talking about this. It's to condition people for it. Deportations.
He's preparing you.
Yeah. Yes. When the deportations happen, the left are going to have meltdowns, okay? We were talking about this on the last episode. They're going to have staged protest. They're going to offer churches and other places as sanctuaries for illegals. The fake news media, it's hard to say because a lot of them worry about their jobs, but the media will probably be, showing trains to Auschwitz and all this stuff. So Tom Holman doing months of really nonstop interviews about everything they're going to do. When the deportations happen, it won't seem like a big deal. It'll just be, oh, yeah, here it is. It's just like matter-of-factly. You know what I mean? It'll be like old news when they start.
He's desensitizing.
Exactly.
I kind of agree with you, but I will say this. I don't think you'll be seeing the mass protests at all because I think what's going to happen is, and I've seen Tom Holman speak about this, and he's almost in tears sometimes. He's a very emotional guy because he says, I've seen things that are horrible and young women and young girls getting raped. And he said that I think what's going to happen.
As young as 9, he said.
He said America is going to find out exactly what's been going on and who's behind it because they need to know. And I think once he lets that out, I think the entire country will be so outraged that there will be no defending this. There will be no defending this. And what he means by exposing it, he is going to expose the countries behind it, who they bribed, who they paid, and the money that's been exchanged, the amount of sex trafficking that's been going on. And I think it is going to be such an onslaught of information that is so shocking, even to us, that people would be absolutely insane to say that what he's doing is wrong. And these mayors that are talking all tough, believe me, they're going to bend over and do whatever Trump. Well, I shouldn't use that example, but they're going to. What's the right word for that? That's not so gross. They're going to roll over.
Yeah,
they're going to roll over and do whatever Trump wants because they're not going to want to defend this at all. It's going to be so bad. And Tom Holman said, I will put them in jail. He said, if they don't work with me, they're going to go to prison because it's a federal law. And he said, I will go in and take them out of their office and put them in handcuffs. And I think he'll do it. I mean, this guy,
Well,
let me tell you something about this guy. This guy has one job to do. And this is all, he was born to do this job. Okay. And this is all he wants to do. And I have never seen somebody so laser focused on an issue as this man. It's a mission for him. He's on a mission from God, like in the Blues Brothers. And nobody's going to stop him. And now he has a license to do it. And he's the perfect choice for this. And I think that people are going to find out things over the next 4 years, not only with the border, but with Ukraine and other things going on that a lot of us already know, but some people don't. And I think we're going to find out things that are going to be very shocking. And I think the country will completely turn on the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part. And that's what they're going to find out everything.
Well,
Pam Bondi's going to expose a lot of stuff,
What's going to happen, listen,
it's going to be fun.
People have all these different theories about why the border is open. We have a completely open border.
Yeah, we're going to find out why.
But it's not. It's for a whole bunch of reasons. It's
Yep.
not any particular reason. But one of the reasons is that a lot of the countries around the world don't like America being America's number one in everything. Of course, we have the number one military, but the economy of the United States is the largest economy in the world, which is really fantastic when you think about how the Democrats have been wrecking the economy, right? Out of the last 16 years, Democrats have been in charge, 12 of them, and they've done nothing but wreck the country, and we're still the largest, number one economy, largest economy in the world. And I know they like to say China is. China is so far behind us, they're not even in the same league.
No.
But the countries around the world that you think are our friends don't like us being number one. Everybody,
that's all this is about, is trying to undermine us.
So the open border that we're facing, and I think it's so interesting now that people are now like, oh, I didn't realize we had such a problem with Canada. The Canadian government, I know we have a lot of Canadians that listen. We're not talking about the Canadian people. We're talking about, the Trudeau government, right? The Canadian government is not a friend of the United States. They don't like us being number one. And the border being open up north and down south and the invasion that's going on, it serves a lot of purposes. It weakens the United States on all kinds of levels because of the crime and the overloading of our system. It distracts the United States from other parts of the world. How can we focus on Taiwan when we're being invaded, right? Or Russia or Ukraine, or the Middle East. It distracts the United States because we're so bogged down on our own border invasion. There's so many different facets to it. It's not any particular thing. And the border, this about how Tom Homan's doing all this stuff. It'll be, by the time they start doing the deportations, it'll be like old news. People have such a short attention span. Plus,
I think that's part of it. He's letting them know. He's getting them desensitized to that.
Plus, I think the deportations are hugely popular. This idea that it's unpopular. I mean, I know it's not pleasant. I feel sorry for a lot of the illegals. A lot of them are brought. I mean, look where they're coming from. I mean, how can you blame? We're not talking about the gangs, but one of the things that Tom Homan and Trump are going to expose, and something we were talking about the other day. You hear these different numbers that the illegals have to pay per person to get here. 3,000, 5,000, sometimes 8,000. Where are people that are living in huts with no running water or no electricity getting that kind of money? Our government knows who's paying the cartels. And you know what? It's probably us.
Okay, I just retweeted. You got to play this. It just broke. The UK Prime Minister, who's another liberal lunatic, what he just said about the open borders around the Western leaders, with the Western leaders.
What the British people are owed is an explanation. Because a failure on this scale isn't just bad luck. It isn't a global trend or taking your eye off the ball. No, this is a different order of failure. This happened by design, not accident. Policies were reformed deliberately to liberalise immigration. Brexit was used for that purpose, to turn Britain into a one-nation experiment in open borders. Global Britain. Remember that slogan? That is what they meant. A policy with no support, and which they then pretended wasn't happening.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's why England's fallen.
This is the Trump effect.
Yeah, and that's the UK Prime Minister, by the way. England is gone. I mean, it's a tiny little country. They've been overrun. I don't see any way out of it. But
well, in Ireland, the people are fighting back because they're fed up with it, and the entire United Kingdom is pushing back, and these people, and finally, the politicians. I mean, this is a shocking admission to me. This is a very liberal prime minister, and he is coming out and saying that this has been an open experiment globally with Western countries, including ours and in Europe, to allow open borders that nobody wanted, but the leaders have done it by design. But for what? For what reason? Why would they do this? That's pretty big.
This is
things are changing now.
In Europe. It's hard to say but in America, the reason it's been done in America is because the people that are our leaders, of course I'm not talking about Trump, but prior to Trump, like Biden and all of them, there's two different factions, okay? Mm-hmm. You've got the type of Washington politician that Biden is, that's just a corrupt public official that just wants to get paid, and he'll sell out the country all day, all night for over 50 years as long as he gets paid. But then you have Obama, who hates America, who wants to bring America down. I
think different people have different motivations.
Yeah, and
but who started this? Who started this whole
Bill Clinton
idea
with NAFTA?
Well, NAFTA was the beginning.
I'll tell you who really.
Barack Obama was really the catalyst.
I'll tell you where all this really. Now, again, you guys out there may have a different idea, okay? But I'll tell you where all this started, okay? It started at the end of the Second World War. Two things happened. It started with the Second World War with the Marshall Plan. General Marshall was the general of the army during the war, and became Secretary of State. And they had the Marshall Plan, which is we rebuilt Europe. We rebuilt all of Europe. We did. They were broke, and they were destroyed by the war that they started, the second one, and the military-industrial complex and the donors. They got it. They made a boatload of money between the buildup during the war and then the Marshall Plan, and then that was the beginning of it. And then the big turn towards the globalist. Now, this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong about this. And I haven't done some deep investigation and research in it. This is just off the top of my head, but I think the globalism started with Richard Nixon when he opened up China. And they opened up China, and China has this first nation status or whatever the hell it is, where they get all these economic breaks that they shouldn't be getting.
But
so the globalist has done it.
Economic. But I don't think Nixon, and he had his own reasons for doing it. Who knows?
There's people on.
But I don't think he had this idea of open borders. What this guy's talking about is, he said it's an experiment, like a social experiment, that these Western leaders have done that had little support. It's like they're just sitting around and just effing up everybody's life for fun.
Well, in Europe,
it's a social experiment that has gone bad, that they've pushed through to have an open border policy. And I saw it happening with Syria under Obama when they had those wars. And all of a sudden, they were allowing all those refugees into all these cities in Europe. And I said to you, you know what? I almost think they did this war on purpose under Obama so they could have these refugees to send all these European countries. Okay, so my personal theory is that, yes, Nixon opened up trade, but I don't think the border was an issue then. That's not what he did it for.
Yeah.
And even Clinton had NAFTA. So all that hurt us economically. But this whole thing with transplanting people from other countries into Western countries, I believe, has been completely constructed by Barack Obama. I think he wants to destroy European nations, including ours. And frankly, I think he hates white people. And I think he wants to infiltrate these countries and destroy their culture and take over and have other cultures take over, because I think it comes from a place of hatred. That's my personal opinion, that he started this whole thing and they all, just kind of went with it. But now it's backfiring. The people are pissed. They finally had enough. And this election of Trump has been not just a vindication for Trump, it has been a vindication for everybody who is against this kind of stuff. And they're finally standing up and feel empowered to stand up. Even this guy, who's a super liberal politician, is even exposing it, which is shocking to me.
Well, I would guess with, Europe's a little bit different than here. So, things are, how things work in Europe and what's going on in the United States. There's a lot of differences as to the details. But I think overall, it's like NATO, okay? NATO, what we find with NATO is it's a big cash cow, right? For the countries over there, it's a big cash cow. It's
right.
It's just they have donors. Our military-industrial complex builds up NATO, and there's been a move for as long as I can remember to have like this United States of Europe thing, and that's what the EU ended up being. Tony Blair and all these monsters, and and with Bill Clinton and everything, that were such champions of all this, and look what's happened. England has fallen, and the rest of Europe, I don't know, it's just in bad shape. And you look at the European leaders. The European leaders are pushing us to World War III as fast as they can on their own continent. I mean, the leaders of Europe are they're as bad as the
things are turning around, though.
As
things
our
are turning around.
As our establishment.
Yeah.
All right, our establishment has organized not just an invasion of people into our country, but they're bringing crime and drugs with them, very serious crimes and deadly drugs. In Europe, they're willing to get their whole continent involved in another world war just so they can get rich off of it. The people that have been running Europe and the United States, the European and American deep state and establishment are the same, okay? They're not separate. They're the same, and it's mostly led by our deep state and our corrupt people, okay? And they all have the same goal: get rich, and they don't care who they hurt.
Well, this is globalism, and this is something that King Charles and other European leaders and our leaders, Barack Obama, I think, was one of the original thinkers of this, was globalism, and they all had their different reasons for it. And like this guy said, it was a social experiment that went awry, that they lost control of, but they were too afraid to admit it, and things went crazy. And now, I think because of Trump, you're going to see things turning around very quickly. It already is. And I think these world leaders are going to come out like it's happening in Canada, it's happening in England, and they're going to start. I think deportations are going to happen everywhere, not just here. They're already doing it in Italy. The prime minister has deported almost all the illegals that have come into that country. She's more conservative than Trump. She's more MAGA than he is, if you believe it. And, when I went to Italy, I lived there in college. The population is like a 99.5% Italian. They don't have this melting pot in these European countries. They didn't, like we do here, but now they do. And like you said, when it's a small country, it can't absorb so many different types of cultures and people like we can. America is huge. Compare that to England, which is like the size of a state. And you have all these people coming in from different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions. It becomes problematic. Here, you can move around and live in different areas, and it's spread out, and it's not as noticeable. It's not as big of a problem. But you got a country like Italy, Switzerland, France, where the majority of the population is French, Catholic, Italian, and Catholic. And all of a sudden, you have millions of people coming in that are Muslim, Jewish, or atheist, and from other countries. It's going to be a problem for the people. And when they see that their culture, and yes, there are there is a European culture. All countries have a culture. And they see that being taken over by other people. And they're walking around thinking, I don't even feel like I'm in England anymore. Like, where am I? That is a problem. And I think you're going to see a major turnaround now with everything.
Well, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you are in the state of Florida and you need roof repair or replacement for any type of structure, from commercial buildings, municipal buildings, condos, HOAs, apartment buildings, warehouses, churches, schools, single-family homes of any size, from small to large and everything in between, Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing can help. And, because he's a contractor in the state of Florida, he's allowed to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of your roof replacement or repair, okay, which speeds things up a lot. And he works not only on every type of structure, but with every type of roofing material there is as well. Now, you hear me give his cell phone number out, which I'm going to give to you in just a moment. He only gives his cell phone number out to our listeners, okay? If you go to his website, you don't see his cell phone number there. And that's because whether you listen to me on the radio, on YouTube, on the podcast, he puts our listeners to the front of the line. You call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He makes you and what you need done a priority, okay? I'm going to give you his number. It is his cell phone. You can call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Every small town has its secrets. In the best-selling novel from Australian author Stephanie May, Rumors and Repercussions, available on Amazon, free-spirited Kylie Gardner and her friends, the Sunsets, face a summer in 1979 that changes everything. Friendships are tested, innocence is lost, and a dark revelation leaves scars that will last a lifetime. Decades later, Kylie must return to Orange, where haunting memories resurface and buried truths demand to be uncovered. Rumors and Repercussions is a story of friendship, bravery, and the unthinkable. It will keep you hooked until the very last page. Available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy today. Rumors and Repercussions from author Stephanie May. Are you ready to transform your health and your vitality? Rakapashi Organics are passionate about bringing you the life-changing benefits of Shilajit. Shilajit has been treasured for thousands of years as the destroyer of weakness. Shilajit is nature's powerhouse. It can boost your energy and stamina naturally, enhance mental clarity as well as focus, promote fertility and reproductive health, fight aging with potent antioxidants, detoxify your body, and support your gut health. Sourced ethically from the towering Himalayas, Rakapashi Organic Shilajit is 100% pure, non-toxic, and highly potent. It's packed with fulvic acid for optimal nutrient absorption. It's the ultimate boost for your wellness routine. Are you ready to start living your most vibrant and energetic life? Order today at RakapashiOrganics.com. That's RAKAPOSHI. Use the promo code HEALTHYUSA for free shipping on all products. With a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, there's nothing to lose. Only energy and vitality to gain. Live beautiful with Rakapashi Organics. Start today at RakapashiOrganics.com. Are you tired of the endless cycle of overthinking? How would you like to recharge your mind and unlock your full potential? You can do just that with the book from author Bart Kahn, How to Stop Overthinking. Master your mind with strategies to overcome stress, break negative cycles, and live in the present. Available on Amazon. Overthinking drains your energy. It creates stress and holds you back from achieving true clarity. How to Stop Overthinking will help you break free from overthinking and take control of your mind. Filled with research research-backed strategies, the author will show you how to calm your mental noise, how to regain focus, and build resilience. From proven techniques to break exhausting thought cycles, as well as daily mindfulness habits that enhance creativity and mental clarity, you'll find everything you need to thrive. It'll give your brain a rest so you're more in the present, are clear, and you are ready to handle anything. Are you ready to stop letting overthinking control your life? Take that first step towards mental freedom and the happiness that you deserve. And order your copy of How to Stop Overthinking from author Bart Kahn, available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Are you looking for products that make life a little easier and a lot more comfortable? MindMeadow.shop blend practicality with comfort to enhance your everyday living. MindMeadow.shop have everything you need too, from computer accessories and electronics to phone essentials. Every product is designed with quality, sustainability, and thoughtful details in mind. Make sure to explore their best-selling section to find exactly what you need at the best price. Sign up for the email list and enjoy free shipping on your first order and gain exclusive access to their best offers. MindMeadow.shop believe mindfulness and serenity can meet in the simple moments of daily life. Start shopping right now at MindMeadow.shop and experience the difference. You'll find the perfect gifts for the holiday season too for everyone on your gift-giving list. MindMeadow.shop, where mindfulness meets serenity. MindMeadow.shop.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. You know, Kathy, just one thing I wanted to talk about here. Megyn Kelly over the weekend was saying that Trump should use all means at his disposal legally to go after these lawfare people. Yep. And I agree with her on that. And there's a lot of people are talking about this on social media, and I think they're kind of characterizing it wrong. They're calling it Trump using lawfare, people are saying. If Trump did it, it would not be lawfare, okay? Lawfare is to illegally use your office and authority against an innocent person and try to frame them. What Trump would be doing would be bringing to justice hardcore criminals.
Right.
It's not the same thing.
That's exactly right. And Katie Pavlich said people are confusing lawfare with accountability. They need to be held accountable. And like Megyn Kelly said, if you don't hold them accountable, it'll never stop. You have to do it. And it's Trump's duty.
Yeah, and it's so important for all of us. You know, you all have platforms on social media and everything else to not let people get away with calling Trump doing this, if he does that, which I think Pam Bondi and them will, calling it lawfare, because it's not. Lawfare is a crime, right? So, you know, if you've got a bad cop, this is the way I look at it. You got a bad cop, like a local police officer, and he's going around planting drugs and things on people, and he gets busted and charged. That's the right. That's you got it. You got a guy who's misusing his authority.
That's right.
To set people up, okay, and you got to prosecute people like that.
Right.
It's not. You're not doing something unethical or illegal by prosecuting a criminal law enforcement officer.
Exactly.
Right. So I mean, I 100% agree with Megyn, and it looks like Trump has the right people in place to do this, because the people he's bringing in are not. They're not people that are part of the Republican establishment or the Democrat establishment or the permanent Washington class.
Right.
And I'm watching some of the Sunday shows, and there's been this trend over the last week. Oh, well, every time there's a Trump pick, well, their loyalties to Trump. Trump is, when you're elected president, you're elected as the chief executive of an entire branch of government, the executive branch. And you put people in charge of the different departments and agencies under your authority as a representative of you. So everyone Trump picks, they should be loyal to Trump. He is the one who
obviously.
Whoever the president is, the people they put in place, you want them to be loyal to the president. He is putting people in place
Well,
as his representative to run this agency or that department.
The first time around, he had people there that weren't loyal to him. And look at all the nonsense he and everybody had to go through because of it. Look at everything that's happened in the last 4 years because there were people there that were not loyal to him and did not have his back. When you're the president, you have to have people that have your back. I mean, to suggest anything else is crazy. You're supposed to, bring in people that are going to screw you over? Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. It's just stupid.
Well, what they're upset about is they haven't been able to infiltrate Team Trump with people that will screw him over like they did the first time, right? They pushed people on Trump. He had to fill a lot of jobs. He didn't know a lot of Washington people yet. So they were able to infiltrate his cabinet and White House. Yep. The other thing is, and I've been talking about this a lot, Kathy and I too, have both been talking about this, about Trump running the country from Mar-a-Lago. Yep. And first thing people say is, that'll be safer. Yeah, but that's not the main reason. There's a lot of reasons. I don't trust the staff that work at the White House. And when I say I don't trust the staff,
I agree with you there.
The staff at the White House, I'm talking about like the cooks and the servers and the butlers and all those kind of people. Those are career Washington bureaucrats.
That's right.
And I don't trust them to not spy on Trump. Do you?
No, I agree with you. I think he should stay at Mar-a-Lago because the people that work there are loyal to him and love him and they know him.
Yeah.
They have a relationship with him. And I agree with you. The people that work at Washington
I'm talking about like the butlers, the cooks.
They're part of the swamp too.
Yeah, they're lifelong career people working at the White House.
He said everybody in Washington is in survival mode and they'll do whatever they have to survive. And that's how it is. And they align themselves with whoever is going to keep them in their job.
Yeah. So just based on that, like we were talking about listening devices in the White House because there was an issue with that during Trump's first term. But maybe a lot of the leaks, because our first thought is Pence. And I'm sure Pence and his people were responsible for leaks. But when President Trump is up in the private residence and they have servants up there.
Exactly.
And he's having meetings and they're talking. And these people have been there with Bush or Obama.
I think he should stay in Palm Beach.
You can't trust those people.
No.
Screw that. Remember they made that movie, The Butler, about the butler that was the butler to all these different presidents? Give me a break.
Yeah.
So no way. Just based on that. Because there were, listen, 4 years goes by quick. So all those people that work and I'm not talking about like the people that do the political stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm talking like a White House photographer or something. I'm talking about, servants at the White House. They're with them in very private situations, and people have conversations.
Look at Melania had her own press secretary or
disgusting
press person who was with her all the time, Stephanie Grisham. And she totally stabbed her in the back. I thought it was the most unprofessional thing. Yeah. I've never seen that happen before where, you have a first lady, not even the president, has a woman on her staff going on TV and trashing her husband. I just thought she was a piece of garbage for doing that. She was looking for a job on The View, and she's a disgusting person.
So I hope Trump, for the most part, runs the country from Mar-a-Lago.
I agree, he should.
Not so much in Washington. Go to Washington when he has to for some special occasions or something. I don't know. Now, and I do imagine there's been a little bit of talk about him doing the inauguration at Mar-a-Lago. And I don't know, okay? I think that Trump would like Mar-a-Lago. If I think Trump would like Mar-a-Lago to get a special National Historic Site designation so that it could never be bought by some quadrillionaire Democrat and torn down or something. You know what I mean? The Kennedy compound's no longer there.
Yeah.
They tore it down and built a new house there long ago. And, Mar-a-Lago's nicer than that house was. But you understand what I mean? I think, if he were to get inaugurated at Mar-a-Lago, I just think running the country from Mar-a-Lago is such an insanely incredible move it would be. Could you imagine the whole White House press corps would have to come here and live here in Florida to do the daily briefings there?
He needs to get out of that DC bubble because you can't trust anybody there. No. And I'm sure the White House would be bugged and you just can't trust it. You can't. He's got to stay where he is. That's my opinion.
I mean, would you want to eat the food that was prepared by the people
No.
that work for the Bidens?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I wouldn't even want to eat the food. I wouldn't trust what they would do to the food.
No, I agree.
There's just no way. I would not let people that were working for the Bidens take care of me and my family as servants. There's just no way.
Well, there have been 2 attempts on his life that we know of. So things are different now, and he has to be more cautious, more careful. And like you said, I mean, and even with eating and things like that, I mean, he can't exactly have beef eaters working for him like Henry VIII did. But, he's got to be very careful on all levels. And I think safety is a big factor. It's not the only factor, but I think if he stays in Mar-a-Lago, I mean, you told me you went there last week and they had checkpoints and the security was outrageous, was crazy, which is good.
They've never had checkpoints outside of Mar-a-Lago before, even in his first term. And they had a checkpoint that was a mile or so away from Mar-a-Lago, which blew my mind. And it was a pretty serious checkpoint. It was like something, Kathy, like out of East Germany during the Cold War. I've never seen it.
They need to protect him.
No, I'm great that I think it's awesome they're doing it. But no, I really would like him to run the country here. And anytime this comes up with MAGA people, every MAGA person I've heard comment on it, they all say, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And I understand, there's some symbolic reasons that he wants to be in the White House and everything. And the inauguration, can you imagine the Jim Acosta and Nancy Pelosi and some of these people on the inauguration day? The insurrectionist is going to take the oath from the place where the insurrection he launched.
I don't think he should I don't think he should do it in Washington. I think he should just stay in Florida and do everything from Mar-a-Lago. Everything. Screw those people.
I think the inauguration in Mar-a-Lago is a great idea. Ronald Reagan's second inauguration, it was not at the Capitol. There was a blizzard. Because I remember I was in 8th grade and my English teacher showed us the event. There was a snowstorm, so they did the inauguration inside, and they couldn't have the parade, but all the bands, the high school bands, were there. So they went to a big arena, and they did the whole thing in this big arena, and the audience were the bands and all the people that came for the parade to Washington that they couldn't have because of the snowstorm. And President Reagan didn't have a traditional inauguration at all, and Lyndon Johnson was sworn in on Air Force One in Dallas.
Yep.
So they don't have to be sworn in at the Capitol. It's kind of like a photo op thing. And having the inauguration at Mar-a-Lago, I think would really be a FU to this permanent Washington class. I think agree. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd go up there for that. I wonder if how close we could get to that.
That would be really cool.
Oh my goodness, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? But it would make a strong statement. And running the country from Mar-a-Lago, I think it's great for these reasons and a lot more. But one of the big ones to me is it tells Washington that they're irrelevant. Mm-hmm. They're not that important.
Yep, exactly. That's the message it has to send. And also that people have to come to him, and he has to get out of that bubble until it's cleaned up. It's a very corrupt bubble. And right now, I don't think it's a safe place for him to be, frankly. And I think until it is safe, he should stay where he is.
And, another thing about it is, when you're at the White House, the way you're viewed by the permanent Washington class is a temporary resident, especially when you're in your second term. So, them having to get on airplanes, they could walk to the White House, right? They're so close to it, some of these people. Or it's a 5-minute drive, a 10-minute drive. For them to have to go to an airport and fly to Palm Beach and then get in a car and go to his home.
It's a good optic, too,
yeah.
that they have to go to such effort to meet with him. His home in Mar-a-Lago is perfectly well suited to receive world leaders and to accommodate them. It has apartments. It has places they can stay. It's not like a regular house. It's a resort, basically. And it's perfectly fine to run the country from there and for people to come down and see him And like I said, I think Melania would be happier there and have world leaders come and on their turf. It's really about it's about having people on your turf and having the upper hand, like in Star Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting Darth Vader, and he said, "I have the upper." What do you say? I have the upper ground. I have the higher ground.
The high ground.
The higher ground. And that's important.
Well, it's home field advantage, too.
Home field advantage, exactly. And this gives Trump the home field advantage, the higher ground, to be in his own home where he's comfortable and where he knows it's safe and secure.
He can trust the staff.
And people can't screw around and do things when he goes out of town. Or, you know what I mean? Like goes, like I think they had a big sweep of bugs when they supposedly fixed the air conditioner, but then when he went, he could have gone to Europe and they could have just put him back in. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were too many leaks, there were too many problems.
And you know what? They can rent some space in an office down the street for Carolyn Levitt to have the press conferences.
Exactly. Or turn the ballroom into it.
No,
something.
It's too nice. I would find the most uncomfortable place I could find for the press.
There has got to be an extra room at Mar-a-Lago that they can use for the press room. I would think it's a huge place.
Well, the only thing about Mar-a-Lago, the only negative is because it's a palace. When they're doing press conferences there's an echo. So they need a room that has like some sound treating where you don't have the echo.
They could have a small room where they do it.
They can find a room, I'm sure, where they could have it. A tiny little room and no chairs in it and make the press stand or something. But I think running it from Mar-a-Lago is the way he should go. This interesting thing going on here where George Clooney and the Democrats are having all these problems, right? George Clooney's upset because he feels like he was used by Obama to push Biden out. And some of the Democrats are blaming Clooney.
Yeah, they're blaming him now.
This is...
Obama totally used him.
What's going on with the Democrats right now, okay? The Democrats are going to find it very, very difficult to get celebrity support in the upcoming elections in the next few years for two reasons.
Yes, I agree.
One is this, these celebrities come out and endorse people. They don't expect to be held responsible for the loss, which has never happened before.
No.
Can't be, And the other thing is James Carville said that there's going to be an audit of the campaign money that Kamala spent, the $1.5 billion. And a lot of that money went to celebrities.
A lot of that money's still unaccounted for.
Yeah. So the celebrities that got paid, it's going to come out and how much they were paid. Celebrities are not going to be running to support Democrats in the future anytime soon. If that comes out, plus they're trashing Clooney because they lost George Clooney. George Clooney is not really a star anymore. He was a star like in the 90s. Right?
I never thought of him as a star, really.
I never watched ER.
No.
And I've seen some of his movies.
Quentin Tarantino said he is not a movie star. He's a TV star, and I agree with that.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
I never thought George Clooney. He's not good looking. I never thought he was good in The Perfect Storm. That's the only movie he was in.
That was good. I did like
that was a great movie. That was the only movie he was in that I thought he was good. But
that was good.
Anybody could have played that part, really. I mean, it was such a great film and a great script. Mark Wahlberg was great. That's one of my favorite films. But I don't think he's spectacular or somebody where he does a role and you think, wow, this is like, he's so good for this role. Like he's the only guy that could have played this.
Yeah.
Made it like he's not a Marlon Brando.
He's boring. He's vanilla. George Clooney's vanilla. Well, but he doesn't think so. He thinks he's, sexiest man that ever lived.
His aunt was great. She was super talented.
Yeah, and he's another one who got in because of his family connections. But the thing about it though, James Carville talking about auditing the $1.5 billion from the Kamala campaign. That is, I've never seen Democrats eat their own. He
kind of intimated that there was like it was a grift.
Yeah,
he implied that this was a money laundering thing. That they knew she wasn't going to win, and they took everybody's money, knowing that ahead of time. Because this is why that's a problem. They had a guy who was a chief advisor to her campaign who admitted that her internal polling never showed her ahead. So the question, not once. So the question is, did they lie to the donors and tell them? Because on the news, they said the exact opposite. They said she was leading in this state, leading in that state. So they knowingly lied to
That's
get
right.
money.
Mm-hmm. And, it was so interesting a couple weeks ago. Like when they went to Oprah and asked about getting paid, and she said, I didn't get paid. And then they paid Harpo Productions. So she considers that her not getting paid because they paid her company. That's not going to fly, Oprah, okay? And so this audit is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. Guys, I've been talking about Dr. Appleton for a while now, and I know a lot of you are patients of Dr. Appleton. His laser away pain treatment, it works. It's absolutely amazing. It works. He's rid me of pain 6 times. And, Dr. Appleton, what he does is just absolutely amazing what he does. He is able to isolate. And by the way, he's done this with me all 6 times without any x-rays. I haven't had any x-rays. What are those scans that you get sometimes? I haven't had any x-rays, any scans. Dr. Appleton gives me an examination. He is able to determine where the pain is originating from, and then that is where he treats you with the laser away pain treatment. In the laser away pain treatment, there's no drugs, no medications, no shots, no injections, no downtime. It's 100% painless. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself. It's 100% painless, guys, okay? But he treats that area where the pain is originating from. And what the laser treatment does is repair the damage that is causing the pain. Remember, the pain is a signal from your body that something's wrong, that needs to be fixed. And it repairs the damage that is causing the pain. It is amazing. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. We've had listeners fly in and travel in from all over America just to see Dr. Appleton and take advantage of his laser away pain treatment. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. But if you're coming from out of town, call ahead, okay? You can make an appointment. You don't have to, but you can make an appointment. And if you're coming from out of town or out of state, I'd recommend you make an appointment just to be on the safe side. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.